We're filming for the Hamilton College Archives. This is Joe Williams, and I'm Leslie Gourse. I need the introduction, Joe does not.
That's nice.
And I wanted to ask you, Joe, you know, you've had such a wonderful, successful career. And I once did ask you, how did you know to make the right decisions for yourself? What, you know, what guided you? And you answered me, you said, oh, every day, every day. Now, I really don't know if you meant this song gave you such a wonderful boost and to the great hit that you had with it with Basie, or did you just mean that you learned every day as you went along to take risks and to stick your neck out and to enjoy the fruits of your successes?
Yeah, I never thought I was taking my neck out.
No?
No, no. You do what you do. You know, I sing.
Right.
And if I feel like I want to sing something, I do it. Yeah. I used to have some problems with Mr. Basie sometimes. I would ask, you know, I'd say, hey, Basie, I'd like to get an arrangement on such and such a song, you know, and he'd say, oh, you don't need to sing the thing you've been singing, you know. If you let people, even those closest to you, and he was very close to me, if you let them discourage you from doing what you feel you want to do,
Yeah.
in many instances, it'll leave you one-dimensional as opposed to being a person of some variety. So consequently, you have to fight even those that you love and those that are closest to you.
Right.
Because I remember after bugging him for a long time to do something, when we finally did it, and the audience approval was so enthusiastic, he would look at me and he would look and nod, you know, just nod his head. And you glean from that if you believe in something, do it.
Yes.
Even though somebody else is saying, hey, no, you don't need that. There's no need for you to do that. You know, like, if you believe in it strongly, do it.
Right. Well, that is...
And that's what happens all the way along the line.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do a spiritual album since 1957.
Yes, I have.
But the fellas didn't want me. The people who were enjoying some remuneration for my success as a quote, unquote, a sock symbol, a sex symbol, you know what I mean?
A sock symbol.
Sock symbol,
That's
you know,
true.
yeah. Yeah, as in a boxer, you know, one of those. Felt if I were to do a spiritual album that it would take away from my aura as a sex symbol or something like that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they felt that it would.
Well, the gospel can be sexy, Mahalia Jackson proved that.
Gospel is spiritual.
But it can be, oh, well.
There, and that is the secret. I mean, because
But exciting.
sex,
exciting.
yeah.
I meant really not sexy, but exciting.
Yeah. Gospel is spiritual, and there's very little more exciting than someone who is spiritual as well. Mm-hmm. I was talking to my wife, whom you know is British, about Camilla Parker Bowles. She must entertain his head, you know, Charles. You know, it keeps him laughing and happy and loose and feeling like a human being. You know, that's what it's about. And I've known people like that.
Not carried away by publicity, perhaps. Able to keep
Yeah,
level head.
I've known people that just were amusing.
Oh.
And they knew how to push your buttons. And they keep you laughing uproariously all the time. You know, and that's a gift in itself.
Sure it is.
You know, be able to make people laugh, you know. I remember one woman saying to me once, she says, they must be kidding talking about making marijuana legal. He said, if they did, nothing would get done. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. And she also said something very spiritual, I think. When Mr. Basie died, she says, what are we going to do? Because Basie used to come to town and open the windows of our spirit.
Right, he did.
But she was an English teacher, so, one of those people who came from that Du Bois background in Washington, D.C. Rosemary Clifford Wilson, graduate of Howard University, and then went on to teach high school there. But the people, they just say funny things, like, oh, keep you laughing. My wife said to me, is she your Camilla Parker Bowles? I said, no. It's a little like Leslie Young talking about Billie Holiday.
Uh-huh.
Said, we love each other, but we don't nasty.
Yeah.
Isn't that elegant?
Yeah.
And just spell it right out.
Well, he had his own language.
Yeah,
It's really,
didn't he?
some of it's become part of the regular language. I mean, out of the,
It should be.
some of it did become. So you made this gospel album, did you
Yes,
not?
we did.
I haven't heard
Spiritual.
it yet.
When you haven't heard it yet,
No.
Feel the Spirit.
Oh, can I
Yeah,
just take a look
that's-
at the
yeah.
songs in it?
Yeah.
Feel the Spirit. Oh, His Eye is on the Sparrow. Isn't that nice? I love that.
Yeah.
Do you know the song Moving On Up? Have you ever heard that one?
Moving on up.
Yeah.
Which one?
Moving On Up to the Higher Room.
Oh, yeah. I've heard it.
Yeah.
I've heard it. I don't know it.
It's a very old one,
Spiritual.
isn't it? Yeah.
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 Yeah, moving it up.
Oh, I've got to hear this. I
to
didn't
higher
hear it.
room.
This is on, oh, it's got to be Great Telarc, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I have something to do this afternoon after this. Oh. I was reading through your, the discography of all the recordings that you've made. You've worked with everyone who's, well, not everyone, but you worked with so many people.
Yes.
Harry
yes.
Sweets Edison couldn't be better.
Yes. Yeah.
And I like that Bohannon, the trombonist that you worked with.
Yeah.
And so many, I mean, I love them. Jimmy Jones and
Yes.
and everyone.
Yep.
Even sang with
Hank Jones, Jimmy Jones, O.C. Johnson, Milt Hinton, Kenny Burrell, oh boy, Romeo Packwood, here, Harry Lakovsky. Worked with all these wonderful, Zoot Sims,
Right.
Frank Foster, and
the Jones Lewis Band, the Thad Jones
oh yeah, Thad
Lewis
Jones
Band.
Mel Lewis Orchestra, yeah, Mel.
And
Did several
and
things
Cannonball
with them.
and-
Cannonball, Julian Cannonball Adderley, yes. Happy.
Right, that was a
Happy
great
times,
recording, and
yeah.
people just praised it to the
Yeah.
skies. It was. Do you have any favorites?
Me?
Yeah, among the recordings that you've made, or are they all? sort of
Normally it's the
children?
next one I'm going to do.
The one, yeah.
The one you're working on, the one you're planning in your subconscious even.
Mm-hmm.
I'm planning whether you want to do a theme. I've never done a theme CD, a theme album. And that seems to be very, very popular. But I want to decide, if I do a theme thing, I think it should be Ellington.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Maybe you should do one Ellington and one Gershwin. That would be nice.
Yeah, Gershwin's so
The two of them.
so great. Yeah, I'd love to give Gershwin a treatment. Yeah.
I think that would be nice.
Yeah. Gershwin has so many things that you can do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Sarah did a Gershwin thing. With,
Wasn't
Tilton
that
Thomas.
spectacular?
Super. Absolutely
Yeah.
super. Yeah.
She loved that. She told someone that she
Yes.
thought it was one of her favorite.
Yeah, it was
maybe
one
her
of her best
favorite
work.
album. She felt that you could just listen to it, and
Yes.
it would have the same effect as if you were seeing her live.
Right. That is quite
And
true.
that's an
Yes.
important thing. Yeah.
Yeah, she had a chance to shine. That music is so popular
The music is popular, yeah.
all over the world.
It is good.
Have you heard the thing that Sarah did, though, of the Pope's
Yes.
writings?
Yes.
That.
You like that?
Oh, my
Okay.
gosh.
I like the
I-
end piece on it. Was nice. I remember that.
I think the whole thing was special.
Okay.
Very, very special, you know. The mystery of man,
Yes.
you know. And one it says, I turn little screws. All I do is I just turn little screws, making weapons that would destroy us all. And I have no say in the way of the world. I just turn little screws and make
I don't remember that.
weapons. That's part of the
Oh, I know, but I forgot.
CD.
I know, but I
Oh,
forgot.
the essence. That's like reading Dr. Zhivago, the book, and missing the essence of the book.
Well.
The essence of that book was never in the motion picture. They made a romance out of the thing there, but the essence in that book was this woman who thought she was dying of tuberculosis. And she wanted Dr. Zhivago's opinion. He told her, he says, you're not going to die, first of all. Your crisis is past. Your fever's broken. And you're healing now. You know, your body's healing. Your lungs are healing. And she says, well, talk to me anyway. Tell me about death and life and when. And he told her, he says, well, your consciousness is like a light on a train going down a track. So that you can see where you're going. It's only when you turn the light inward that you're headed for a wreck.
Wow.
You didn't read Dr. Zhivago,
I
did you?
did. I read it thoroughly, but you know, I read it in college, I think.
Yeah.
That's quite a while ago, and I remember loving it, loving it.
Oh.
But now, I mean, you must turn the light inward sometimes. You know? Yeah?
You think so?
Well, I mean, self-knowledge, to know who you are. Huh?
All
Or
right,
is that
okay, but for expression, I mean, your aura and your attitudes are what you're really living by. And which ones make you happy? And which makes you a more rounded person,
Yes.
you know?
Yes, I guess we live by instinct to a great degree, but also
Yeah.
I think we live by discipline, by telling ourselves what to do.
Oh, yes, by all means.
Yeah, I think so.
And what not to do as well. It's like I said, I go see everybody, all the performers, because I want to know what not to do as well. You know.
You know, I remember that you too had some trouble with your lungs when you were
Yes.
young, so you had TB.
Yeah.
So this would have special meaning for you. And you were 16 or so?
It was, yeah, it was 14, 15.
Did you have
14,
that?
15. Supposedly I had a spot
Right.
on my left lung. And they gave me pneumothorax,
Right.
where they collapsed the lung
Right.
so that it would rest. Stuck the needle between the ribs, regularly.
For a year or so. I think
Yeah,
you did.
almost a year before I
that's-
said, oops. Ann told me I wasn't supposed to raise my arms above my head.
You were not?
So basketball was out, you know, and
Yes.
sports and all that. And I played soccer in grammar school, handball, and tennis, and football, touch football, baseball, and all that mess.
You were a great athlete.
But, yeah, I was running all the time.
Did you have
And,
any idea you would become a great singer? Did you have any
No.
idea you would be able to sing? Because it's such a, it's your lungs, you need it.
I always could sing.
But I mean for a career, because of,
I never thought of it as a career.
oh,
Never
it was
once.
just something you did that you
No,
wanted.
that happened quite by accident. I mean, people started offering me money to sing, and they kept offering me more money and more money. And paid the rent, and I was able to save some, stuff like that. That just happened. Because I was singing with orchestras for dancing.
Johnny Long,
Yep.
Jimmy Noon,
Erskine Tate.
right?
Yep. Yep.
King Colax. Was
King
that a dance
Colax.
band?
Yeah, Colax had a dance band before he had a nightclub.
Uh-huh.
Red Saunders.
Red Saunders and
Yeah.
the Lisa.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Did you learn a great deal
Andy
of stage?
Kirk.
Yes.
We were playing for dancing even then. With Andy Kirk and Lionel Hampton, too.
Right, you toured with
But
Lionel
we were doing a
Hampton.
lot of theaters and some colleges, too.
Uh-huh.
That became very prevalent. Who started that? I think George Shearing started that a lot. Shearing and, well, Stan Kenton
Going to colleges?
and Woody, yeah,
Hmm.
playing. And it's such a brilliant idea because you are really building your audience for the future, whether you know it or not. Because these students will grow up and become the wage earners who can afford to come and see you at the
That's
different
true.
venues that you're working when you grow up. It's
And they're major buyers
marvelous.
of records anyway, even on campus. I think
Yes,
so.
yes.
I remember.
Oh, yes. They'd have record hops. Remember when you were in school?
Well, no, I was in
But this-
Columbia. I used to listen to Symphony Sid and go hear you at Birdland.
Oh, my
So it was a
gosh,
different,
yeah.
different sophistication. Yeah. So.
Yeah,
But I did buy records in those days.
I did too. My first records were Coco, Ellington, Coco Truckin', and
Coco the blues singer?
no. Ellington wrote a thing called Coco,
Oh, I don't know.
which somebody else later stole and used it.
Oh, yeah.
They always use things of his, though. Like a Night Train is the fourth tenor part of Happy Go Loco of Ellington's, you know.
Hmm?
But who was it that Coco? Great line, you
Oh,
know.
beautiful.
Real great line. And then
Beautiful.
Joe Nathan came in.
Oh, you're marvelous. You're a whole band.
Yeah, but those are the things I grew up with. I bought those records before I had anything to play on. I didn't have a machine.
Oh.
Later on, I got a machine to play. But I loved it. The music was the thing.
They had the most fantastic use of the mutes, the most creative before, up till that time, and never since has it been surpassed.
I used to call it a sophisticated jungle.
Oh, yeah, well,
Really sophisticated.
you know, they called it jungle music. Some
Oh, sure they did. Well, you know,
misnomer.
they had a name for it all. They had race records.
Yes, I think they still
Race to the store and get them.
have. Right.
30 cents, 35 cents and stuff. Boy.
When did you, when you had the chance to make that record with the recordings with Basie, that made you such a well-known singer, did you have any idea that it would become,
No.
you just knew you were going to like doing it, I bet, yeah.
We were doing it before we recorded it.
Sure.
I joined the band the day after Christmas in New York here, and we went on a southern tour.
Right.
And Frank Foster and
Sonny Penn.
Ernie Wilkins, we got together in Jacksonville, Florida, a place called the Two Spot, I think it was down there. And we were down there about 3 or 4 days in one place. And they made the arrangements on Every Day I Have the Blues, To Come Back, Teach Me Tonight. And we came to Washington, D.C., rehearsed that morning in the Howard Theater and performed that evening, that afternoon and that evening for the week. And then we came into New York, and stopped at Hagerstown, Maryland, and played a dance there, and then came into New York City and opened at Birdland. And from the opening night, Every Day I Have the Blues was a big, big, big success.
Right.
And then we went on tour with Birdland Stars of 1955, which was the Basie Band, Sarah Vaughan, Lester Young, Stan Getz, Errol Garner, Bud Powell. Who else? Anyway, it was Birdland Stars of 1955. People that worked Birdland. And Zoot Sims, I think, was part of that group too. Zoot was part of that group. And we went on tour, and we were performing Every Day I Have the Blues with the orchestra before thousands of people all over the country. In February, we went in the studio and recorded it for Norman Granz. And that, and to come back, and Every Day I'll Fall in Love all over again with you.
Yes.
Foster did for me. In the Evening. The stuff that was in the first LP that we did, in fact. Count Basie Swings, Joe Williams Sings. And
Well, All Right, Okay.
Yeah,
You Win,
yeah.
that was on that?
yeah, we put that in. I think that's in the LP as well. And anyway, it turned out that all the stuff, everything in there was well received. But My Baby Upsets Me, which I wrote. And it all turned out well.
Right.
Everything, Roland Pete, of course, Teach Me Tonight, Baby Upsets Me. Please Send Me Someone to Love, which was arranged by Ernie Wilkins as well.
Did you choose these songs, or did you and Basie
I
confer? You chose them to do
The
it?
only one that was chosen by Basie was All Right, Okay.
Yeah, he told you to do that. You didn't want
asked
to.
me to do it. I didn't want to, but we
I get
did.
such a kick out of hearing. Well, I love to hear you sing to me. When I sit here and you sing to me, or any time across the table, it's great. But you once sang something about 50 chicks under 22,
Smack dab in the middle.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if you sing that, just that line in a couple of those languages.
What? Oh.
You did it.
Oh, you mean
Swedish
in
and
German?
and
Yeah,
all
German.
that.
Yeah, in Swedish. Yeah.
If sometime you get a chance to do it.
Is it 50 Fräulein unter 23? Yeah.
You remember it?
Yeah. You don't forget the languages. Traveled over there so much,
Yeah. It's a real education.
Yeah.
Who guided you? So you chose mostly, but Basie chose that song. Who
Yeah.
guided you to make certain decisions? Was it your mother that gave you vision from the early childhood? She brought home magazines and things for you to read. And
Oh, yeah.
She must have given you vision that you would have, the...
A very, very broad spectrum was at my disposal, where anything that you imagined, I read a lot. I loved to read, when I was a kid particularly. Read everything I could get my hands on. I used to read the editorials on maybe 3-4 newspapers a day. Different views on things and what have you.
And I know you like music because your mother played,
Yeah.
she was a musician.
She played piano,
And
and my aunt as well.
Right.
And we sang in the home all the time.
Right. Oh, they did? You did sing in the home a lot together?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And she took you to in the park?
Oh, yeah.
The concerts?
The Grant Park in Chicago.
Right.
They used to have symphony concerts
Right.
in the summer, and free, and you'd sit there at the band shell and listen to the Chicago Symphony. And you hear the popular singers, classical singers of the day. Lily Pons, Tibbet, I think his name was.
Lawrence
Tibbet. John Charles Thomas, and...
I remember him.
Yeah.
My father loved him.
Yeah. And Rosa Pansel,
Uh-huh.
who used to do Carmen, that's I remember. And, of course, on the radio we had the Metropolitan every Saturday,
Right.
and they'd trap me on Saturday instead of in the street. They'd say, "Darling, the windows need washing." And we had a seven-room house, apartment
Right.
there in Chicago. So there I was washing the windows, and suddenly on the radio, Milton J. Cross and the Metropolitan Opera.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was given another vision other than the street and houses of pleasure
Yeah.
and other things that I might have gotten into.
Uh-huh.
And church every Sunday.
Yeah.
Every Sunday was church. And sometimes I'd go to rehearsal with my mother, choir rehearsal on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there was always the encouragement there
Yeah.
to be culturally inclined and with music and
My group had a lot of class.
yeah. Well, you
A
know,
lot of class.
I had to. Yes.
Elegant. It was dignity, great dignity. I'll always remember my grandmother, Oh, you'd think she was Queen Mary. Like she was the the dowager, dowager queen.
Uh-huh.
She was like, boom, always, and quiet. I never heard her raise her voice.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Mm-hmm.
Something. But they were so cute. I think if I'd done something in the street to embarrass our family, they would have killed me.
Mm-hmm.
At least, or make me wish I was dead or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then as
And we always dealt with the spirit. You always deal with your spirit, the spirit of those that loves you.
right.
Those that love you. Like the Indian and part African. Okay. Oh, great spirit. Yes, the great spirit that, is a part of all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say there's one immortal mind. I wonder about that sometimes.
One immortal mind?
Uh-huh.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, yeah.
One immortal mind.
people-
The Lord
probably.
be the immortal mortal. No,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's some people who believe in that.
Takes a lot of explaining, I guess, to get.
Yeah. A young woman who's a Christian Scientist used to talk to me about that. That only one immortal mind, which we either tune into or we don't,
Well, you worked with one of my Cannonball was, he was, to me, I don't know, he could do it all.
Yeah.
Something about his sound that just, as soon as I heard it.
Yeah. Brilliant man, brilliant. Just yesterday, I was looking at a medal that was given me by his wife, Olga, who was also a fine musician. And it was a silver medal, and it has a struck of him. It looks like the very eyes of God almost, looking at it. And on the back of it, it says, "A big man is judged by others, not oneself."
Oh, you look great on the monitor.
I think I have a record with that, with him wearing,
Yeah,
I think it's his last record. Maybe not.
yeah, he was doing Big Man.
Yeah.
We did Big Man, and he
I believe so. Like that?
yeah, he died. Too soon,
Who is this?
too soon. Julian,
Huh?
Julian Cannonball.
Cannonball, yeah.
Yeah,
Big man,
yeah, too soon. What did he used to say? He said he was doing a live recording from Village Vanguard, and some guy in the audience was making noise, And he says, you know, we're making a record now here, live. The guy said, yeah, baby, we're in New York, though. You're just New York. We're hip in New York. He says, oh, no. He says, wait a minute. He says, nah. He says, it doesn't go like that. He says, you just don't wake up one morning and say, today I think I'm going to be hip. Oh, man, he was...
State of mind, not no.
That's what he said.
Fact
Yeah,
of life,
yeah,
not a state
yeah,
of
that's
mind.
right. It's a fact of life, not a state of mind. You know, being hip. He always, he was one of the most beautiful people. He said the most marvelous things to you. Mhm.
I'll try to do a few more minutes and I'll go wait for George.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Now, anything special you want me to ask you? I thought I would ask you, ask Basie. You still didn't tell me all the people who the secret of your
influenced me?
success. The secret of your success. I mean, kids will watch this and they'll say, "Ah, that's how it's done." Maybe I'll just ask you that. And also, how do you want people to regard you? Basie said he wanted people to call him a nice guy.
Yeah.
That's all he wanted, and I wanted.
Well, I mean, that's pretty good aspiration, to be just known as a nice fellow.
Right.
You know, someone who is nice. I mean, what is this thing about people who drink or
Smoke.
use other stimulants or something like that, and they go off on people, you know? Well, either you're a nice person or you're not.
Yeah.
And drinking isn't going to make you fight somebody or be obstreperous, I don't think, you know?
Well, you noticed when you were young and on the road that the people who abused the liquor and stuff, they died young. And you remember, I remember you told me that you started to play golf and to save your life, really, to
It
you
might
love
have.
good food and
It might have, because
you instinctively made good choices.
yeah.
So,
Well, I like sports, and golf is such a challenge. Until, as a guy said, golf is a search for infinity itself. Yeah, golly. Yeah, each date's different. And the guy says, oh, he shot a 63 today, and if I hadn't missed those two putts, man, gee, it would have been a 61, you know. It's always, and like, that's phenomenal, for goodness sake.
yeah, it's a great score.
Yeah. But it's a wonderful, wonderful game. And the thing that really got to me about it was you don't have to have anybody else to play with.
Yeah, you could just walk around by yourself.
That's right.
Yeah, a little
By
lonesome.
yourself, contemplate
Uh-huh.
and consider and make adjustments and what have you to see how, as Sam Snead said once when he was on the practice range, somebody said, oh, you're trying to get it together, Sam? He said, no, you're trying to get it together, you have no business out here. I just want to see how I'm hitting it today.
Yeah. Every day's new.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know.
Everything is a challenge. Even now that you're going to be doing this concert, and you've been playing concerts, let me see, more years than a lot of years, and do you still feel it's a challenge to go on?
Oh Lord, yes.
Do you think of
I'm doing 3 things written by Benny Carter that I've never performed.
Oh, right.
You know?
That would be something.
Yeah, and one is a duet with Diane Reeves, and she is like, oh, talking about holding someone in awe, you know, and admiring somebody greatly. And that lady, she's such a musician and such a voice, such a presence, and such beauty and warmth, and it's really.
Yeah, she's a stunning artist.
Yes. God, you know, I sang with Carmen, with Sarah, and Ella.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Did you sing with Ella on recordings? I don't
Oh,
think
yeah,
so.
Ella first.
Oh, I knew Carmen and Sarah.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Ella first, yeah.
Yeah.
Party Blues, Ella, Too Close for Comfort.
Okay.
stuff we did for 1957 Metronome All-Stars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When
And Shirley Horn.
Shirley Horn too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shirley Horn did things with her. Yeah.
Do you feel that you are a role model in the way that some people might have been role models for you? Do you think that? I mean, I know a singer who just idolizes you. I can't think of it. Kevin Mahogany.
Yeah.
He wants to do all the songs you've done. He wants to be you.
He's a marvelous performer,
Yeah.
piano player and singer named Paul Broadnax.
Uh-uh.
He's coming to town just to have a picture made. And he has just put out an album, and he did almost everything I did is in his CD.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he and Don Trenner, they put it together, and I love it when these kids do things that I do.
Mm-hmm.
They honored me at the Hollywood Bowl, and all the singers were doing things that I did.
Uh-huh.
And my piano player Norman Simmons came to me. He says, "They're not going to leave anything for you to do, are they?"
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is funny, you know,
Yes.
because we had about 15,000 people out there.
What do you feel is the secret of your success? Would you like to just reflect on that for a minute? Is there any secret? I know you said exposure was very important.
The television, I think, is a big factor, I think. I probably had more television exposure, national television exposure, than any other artist, quote, unquote, they would say was a jazz performer.
Yes, Johnny Carson was a
Johnny
great,
Carson,
yeah.
but also there was Merv Griffin.
Right.
I did a lot of Merv Griffin. I did Merv when he was here at the little theater, Times Square, you know. And then starting in 1961, I did Mike Douglas
Yeah.
regularly, at least every month.
Mm-hmm.
I would be on Mike Douglas's show.
That's very important.
Yeah. And I did Art Linkletter every time I went to the coast. And I did Steve Allen when he was here in New York doing the Tonight Show before Johnny Carson and before Jack Parr. I did, and then when he went to the West Coast, I did his show out there, Steve Allen's show out there
Yeah.
as well. And Donald O'Connor had a show out there. I did his show there. I also did his show when he was being considered for the Tonight Show here in New York City. And I did local television shows. Every city we went to.
Right.
I did television in Chicago, Illinois in 1950, I think it was. The fellow named Al Benson, every Saturday night, would have an hour show. And we did his show every week. And I did Gary Moore's television show a couple of times right here out of New York. I did Perry Como's show here in New York. I did Dinah Shore's show several times. And I don't know who I'm leaving out, but I mean, I did
Yes.
a lot of television.
Yeah. And you made yourself
A lot of
accessible.
TV.
Yes.
Yeah. You know who else did a lot of TV?
No.
Bill Basie.
Oh, yes, you saw it
Used
with
to do
Kate Smith. Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah, no, I don't remember.
Sure.
You told me.
Sure.
You said it was nothing better for his career
Yeah.
than that.
Yeah.
I think that was before you were
Yeah.
working with him that you saw.
Oh, and Billy Taylor, too. I did wonderful things with Billy Taylor and a big band from Kennedy Center,
Right.
you know, and radio.
Yes.
A lot of radio things we did, too. I did things with the Airmen of Note, you know, recordings. I worked with the Navy Commodores, too. And
So you made yourself accessible to the
Yeah, I
public.
think,
Yes, that's a very
yeah,
important.
God, I used to do
You
the-
love to make yourself
I
accessible
did
to
a
people.
tour of the camps in Germany one year. Ellis Larkins and I went over and did a tour over there, at different bases in Germany. And of course we did, I did those bases with Basie's orchestra as well.
Mm.
But Armed Forces Radio,
Yes.
Bobby Troop used to have the
Yeah.
show out on the West Coast.
Uh-huh.
And I remember sitting with him with stacks, with my records, playing records and discussing them every time I had a new release. I was with RCA Victor, I think, at the time, and he was doing that. And Willis Conover, forever, I did Willis Conover like at least
Voice of
4
America?
or 5 times, Voice of America.
Oh, great, yeah.
And I realized what that really meant when I went on tour with Clark Terry for the State Department. And we started the African tour in Sierra Leone. And we were rehearsing prior to the concert that afternoon. And a door opened and a guy came in a gray suit, little black guy, and he was singing, "Nobody loves me, Joe Williams, Joe Williams," And I thought, I said, yeah, there it is, Voice of America.
Yes.
Man. Armed Forces Radio.
Yes.
That you were known in the third world countries, all over the world because of radio and television. I remember sitting in Turkey, in Ankara, Turkey, after having stood in the receiving line, the consul general, and greeted the different people from different countries, everybody coming to the house, to the consul general's home. I got a drink, and I had a nice scotch and soda, and I walked into a little room and sat by myself. And suddenly the television set came on, and there was Duke Ellington and the orchestra broadcasting from Monterey, the Monterey Festival, with Woody Herman, and I saw Paul Gonsalves in the background.
Exciting to see that so far away.
Yeah, and the frozen frame at the end was a picture of Ellington, Woody Herman, and I with our arms around each other, and we are laughing.
Yeah.
But here I was in Ankara, Turkey.
Right.
Looking at this.
Yeah.
And so the consul general came in and sat down with me and had a drink. And I was discussing it with him. He said that Edward was in Turkey when Jack Kennedy was shot and killed. He was doing a tour for the State Department. And he canceled the tour. He went and came back home after that. But I thought about the parable in the Bible. I go to prepare a place for you that wherever I go, you may be also. And then Jack Kennedy's words, God's work is our own. It all came together. I thought about Buck Clayton and Benny Carter and Duke Ellington and Dizzy Gillespie, all the people who've been to the Middle East.
Yes.
Before I went there, and conducted themselves in such a manner that when Clark Terry and I came, we were greeted with open arms, and were given celebrity because of the fact that so many elegant and wonderful and gentle and genuine people had been there before us.
The best ambassadors for our country.
Oh, man, really.
How would you like people to regard you?
Me?
Yes, Basie said he wanted people to think of him as call him a nice guy.
Yeah, I said that's pretty good.
And yeah.
That's pretty good. To aspire to that. Say, hey, Joe Williams. Yeah, oh yeah, he was a nice cat.
He is.
He was a nice fella. Yeah. Yeah, he was a nice man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Oh,
I've been
thank
saying
you.
that for years.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's been wonderful to see you again.
Always, Leslie.
And you look wonderful.
Okay.